Okay, to start your mining adventure, you're going to need about 150,000 AUEC. You can get this by doing missions in game, but either way, you need 108,000 of it to get a size 1 Helix mining laser. So it's the Helix 1 mining laser. Don't confuse that with the Helix 2 mining laser, which is a size 2 variant. That one's for the mole. You need the size 1 for the prospector, and that's what we're going to be dealing with today. And the other cost is the prospector. You need to rent it. Renting it for 1 day costs you 41,220 AUEC, plus the 108,000. You're right up around 150,000 AUEC. Obviously, if you have more than 150,000, I would advise renting the prospector for 3 or even 7 days. This way, you have time to learn and adjust and adapt. 1 day with an experienced miner would have no problem earning the 150,000 back plus some, but someone who doesn't know how to mine would probably encounter some difficulty or have to invest the full day to get that 150,000 back plus. Okay, so first thing is head somewhere that rents the prospector. I chose Laurelville. You can also pick up the Helix 1 mining head at Tammany and Sons here in Laurelville at L19. There is a little trick to getting the mining head to install on the rented prospector, and I am demonstrating that in this video. It's really simple. It's a glitch. I am fairly certain that it's a glitch, and they will most likely fix it eventually. But there's no reason for you to not take advantage of it while it is available. And I can only vouch for this being available in the current patch because I know it works in this patch. So 3.10.2 is the patch that I recorded this in, and in 3.10.2 is the patch that it definitely worked it. You can see here that the prospector, through the normal route of trying to upgrade it, will not let you install the Helix 1 mining laser. So what you got to do is go ahead and call the ship to the hangar, and then head to it and get inside it. Now you can see on the rented prospector, the default installed mining head looks different. It's not as robust as the Helix 1 mining head. So it's real simple. You just get into the pilot seat and turn it on. You'll then want to hit F1 or go to your Mobiglass and then click the button that says Vehicle Loadout Manager. Do not click anything else, just let it load what it's going to load, and what it will load is the ship that you are in, which happens to be a rented prospector, and magically you can equip things. Here I exited the Mobiglass. Sometimes it keeps saying change pending, so I exit the Mobiglass and come back in to verify that the install took, which it did. And I also will proceed outside to verify that the mining laser head has changed from the basic laser to the more robust looking Helix 1 mining head, which it did. Now you're ready to get started, and you're welcome. This is Quantanium, aka Pay Dirt. And so is this, and 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 this. Out of this field of 9 Quantanium rocks, there are 2 worth noting, this particular one being one of them, and another one off over here to the left. A Quantanium rock is quite distinctive visually from all other rocks in that it has the red speckles, uh, while all the other rocks have this blue speckle. When you scan a rock, there's some basic information that you will need to pay attention to. On the right here is the contents of the rock. CIG was nice enough to sort it with the most valuable rock on top, or the most valuable contents on top. And then it goes down from there, the next most valuable, the next most valuable. On the left here is also some information, with the most important being the mass of the rock. There are some calculations that you will need to become familiar with. In the beginning, this may seem tedious, but eventually you'll do it in your head and just get general numbers, and it goes by really fast. The first calculation that you need to pay attention to would be the composition of the contents of the rock versus the mass of the rock. The composition is divided into 2 numbers, the first number being the percentage of the contents versus the total mass of the rock. The second number is the purity of the contents. So when you break it up, how large of a chunk are you going to get that is pure content versus other content or inert material? So 9.88% of 6,303 mass is about 620 pure content of Quantanium. The purity of 24.47 means I should get most of it without having to sacrifice cargo space for less valuable materials. However, the number you're looking for on the purity side would be above 50%. 24% means you're gonna suck up some not good material. It happens. I use the Galog website to get an idea of what this all means in terms of when I turn it in at the refinery. These are not refinery prices as per the developer of the Galog website. These are just the base prices for trading, but it does give you the distinction between materials in terms of what is worth hauling back to a station to turn in and what is not worth it. There is another thing to keep in mind when mining Quantanium, and that is that Quantanium is a volatile cargo, meaning once you start picking it up, there is a timer and it will eventually explode, which will destroy your ship and you in the process. The timer is about 30 minutes, so basically you'll want to break up any rocks that you're going to try to collect before you start picking it up. So I've selected 2 rocks here, and I will break them both up, and then I will start collecting the Quantanium into the cargo bay. When you're in fracture mode, the scanner automatically checks the rocks for its instability and its resistance. Once you're in fracturing mode and you're ready to start breaking up the rock, there are a couple things that you need to pay attention to. First being the instability. There's also a bar down at the bottom, laser throttle and rock energy level. So basically you can stay kind of focused in the bottom left there. The rock's instability is how violently it's going to heat up So it's going to jump. It does not follow the rules of entropy. It's just going to jump. It's a mini game. It's going to jump all over the place, and you're supposed to basically keep everything as happy as possible. But the instability um, tells you how much it's going to jump, and that's very important. Now, with a helix mining head, it will cut that instability down usually by half, which is nice. But anything above like 2 or 3 is kind of rough to deal with. But you will certainly get in those ranges with this Quantanium. The laser throttle defaults to the mouse wheel control, I think. I don't like that. I put it on the slider of one of my dual sticks. This allows me to immediately go to 100% and then immediately also go to 0%. Whereas the mouse will, it's a slow. You have to turn it real fast or whatever. I don't like that, but you'll have to get used to the controls that you are using. And the rock energy is just your progress as you're heating the rock. You want to get it to the green, and you want to stay in the green until this other thing, this little fracture sensor over here, says 100%. Just below the fracture sensor is the overcharge sensor. So if you do get into the red, that one tells you how much, how bad you're getting. If you overheat it too much, the rock will explode. If the overcharge sensor gets to 100% before the fracture sensor, it will destroy the material you're trying to use or trying to get. If the fracture sensor gets to 100 but you have some red, it will separate progressively more violently depending on the percentage of overcharge. Now, really, a little bit of red is not that bad. It'll separate the rock for you so it's not all stuck together. But a lot of red, I mean, it'll damage your shields. And if you do it too hard, it can blow up your ship. Now, I am going to control the heating of the rock to fracture it by adjusting the distance I am from the rock, the amount of power I am exerting with the laser, and the amount of time I am exposing the rock to that amount of power. Everybody is going to have their own method, and you will probably come up with your own method depending on the controls that you are using, but I'm using my dual sticks for this, and this is the method I've come up with that is consistent for these highly unstable rocks. You may also notice that I am not going to be using any consumables to break this rock or any other rock. The method that I'm using regulates it fairly easy. The consumables are great. Some of them make the little green area a lot bigger. Some of them stop you from entering into the red. And as you're learning, by all means, buy those consumables. That's what they're there for, to help you. Now that I have broken this rock, I am going to scan the individual pieces to look for which ones contain my pay dirt, and then I will start fracturing them. None of the other fracture pieces had any quantanium, so it is now time to begin fracturing the smaller pieces, and that's what I do here. Now, these are much more violent than the whole rock, and you should see that, so the control of the heat is more important on these. Even with the reduction that comes with the helix mining head, the instability of this particular rock fracture is 4, and that makes things really nice and fun. I don't know if the RT underscore 17 is a bug, uh, but I do know it's reported on the issue council a couple of times. But as long as it gives me the reduced rate with the Helix head, I'm usually okay with it. I'll do the same thing that I just did with the other rock to this one, and then I'll start collecting. I will not be breaking up any others. The cargo bay and the prospector is only 32 SKUs, so it's not enough to hold anymore. So I massively overheated that one rock, and it needs to cool down. This will take time. You can sit there and stare at it if you want to, but a little cool trick, since we don't have a lot of time to collect, uh, you know, the pieces. Once you start collecting the first bit of quantanium, your 30-minute counter starts. Uh, so what I'm doing while I'm waiting on that rock to cool down is to search out the useless rocks. And I say useless rocks, rocks without quantanium in it. And you can destroy them. I don't know if you know that. It doesn't give you the same bar, but the energy level and the reaction is the same. If you don't explode it, it won't hurt your shields, and you can break them up into nothingness harmlessly. And that means when you're coming back around to do the collection, if you break them up, they they're not in your way. They're not something that's going to occupy that little bit of time while you scan it, saying, oh, that's not a Quantanium rock, or that's not one that I'm going to collect. This practice would be completely useless on other types of materials, because there is no time limit, and so the scanning means nothing. But with Quantanium, if you've got a large field and you've broken it all up and you're just looking for the best rocks to fill up your limited cargo capacity, this is a viable option. Okay, that was the last rock. It did cool down. I was able to break it. It didn't explode. I didn't lose any Quantanium, and I didn't blow my ship up. So now it's time to extract, and basically you just go around to the little purple highlighted rocks and pick up the ones with the Quantanium. I try to pick up the ones with the most amount of Quantanium first, so that way I ensure they do get into my cargo bay, and then the least and more dirty rocks get picked up last. Remember, from the initial pickup, and as far as 310.2 patch is concerned, you got about 30 minutes before your ship explodes. Okay, my cargo bay is now full. I do not hang around. I immediately head back for the port where I'm going to sell, in this case, Port Ulsar. Don't waste time, people. You get out. You've got money in your cargo bay. You need to go. Now, if you take too long for some reason, any reason, maybe you got interdicted, maybe you didn't do the jumps and you couldn't find your port. I don't know what took you too long, but if you did take too long, your little light will start going off. The first indication gives you, I don't know, about 5 minutes. It's not very long. The second indication is basically a 1 minute countdown. You're gonna explode. You need to get to port. If that light's on, it doesn't. Nothing else matters. If you want to save your cargo. Now that is not a bad load. I've gotten more before. Um, I don't understand a few things. It seems to bug out. It said my cargo bay was full. However, here it is only displaying, uh, what is it, 2459 in mixed minerals, 2500 for the C SKU. Um, it said my cargo bay was full. So I don't understand that. And then two, it's saying the Quantanium is selling for 208,710, which is about double of what I was expecting from the prices, or from the base prices I got from Gallup. Obviously, this is in my favor. I am more than happy with it, but you know, somehow we're going to have to get refinery prices, because I don't know, the numbers don't match up. Either way, not a bad haul.